Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Katie Weaver Show. This is Katie. I'm your host. I'm so happy to be here. I hope you guys are having all kinds of good weeks. I don't know if you are. We have a lot to talk about, don't we? Well, I want to let you know that I'm live. It is the 28th of June at about 11 a.m. Pacific time. And I am over in the chat room. You can find it by heading over to 12radio.com. Click on the chat button and you'll be redirected into the Facebook chat. Or, of course, you can find this event as a live stream. And you can find that by heading over to Katie Weaver Katie Weaver Domestic Mystic on YouTube or on Facebook. And you can watch rather than listen. So, watch and listen. I don't know. So that's the way to do it. Um, I hope you guys are well. I want to thank you all so much for all of the thank you all so much for all of the birthday blessings. You guys showed me so much kindness and I appreciate you so much. I appreciate all that you have done for me. I have to say, you guys are the best. So, thank you so much for that. And I want to tell you about a few fun things. Oh, first of all, I have to tell you about a rat. A few weeks ago, on one of Scott and I's shows, we had reported on a rat, or well, a program that trains rats to detect. This program that particularly was one. It's called Hero Rats, is the program, and in this program, the Hero Rats were trained to detect people, to find people who had been in earthquakes. They could send people down in rubble or rats down in rubble to find people. And they wear these little helmets and vests and they head down the proverbial rabbit hole in order to find live people. And of course, they have cameras and they have a two-way conferencing system so that they can, talk to survivors and help find them and help get them out. Anyway, we had talked about this and what a cool program it is and how amazing rats are and how smart they are. And one of you, dear listeners, gave me for my birthday the most incredible gift. I want you to meet Ronan. This is Ronan the rat. Ronan is also a hero rat who is a part of a program that he has been trained to go in Malaysia and find landmines. That's Ronan's job. And he's a hero rat as well. So I just think it's the coolest thing in the world. If you want to know more about Ronan and all of the hero rats, I'm going to put a link in the chat room for you. But you can also head over to it's a Popo, APOP. That's the website. You too could perhaps sponsor a rat. So I'm sponsoring Ronan for the next year, thanks to a super cool birthday present. And how cool is that? Go Ronan. He's a hero. And I do get updates occasionally. I will get updates occasionally about what our Ronan is up to. And I'll be able to share that. So, how cool is that? I'm so excited. Pretty amazing. They said that they have never lost a rat because they're light enough that they won't trip a landmine, but they can smell out a landmine so that they can be taken off of the earth so that someone isn't actually injured or killed by them. So, how neat is that? Rats in Ronan's program are also being trained to detect uh, tuberculosis. And so they're being trained in all kinds of ways to save lives. It's pretty interesting stuff. So go, Ronan. You are our hero, and we're going to track you forever now. Hey, thanks, Jess. Good to see you. Want to say hi to JR, Pamela, Deb, Renee, Quelly, Jess, Shalisa, Terry, Sid. I think that I'm not streaming. I'm not sure. It sounds like maybe my stream isn't working. So we're just doing live stream today, it sounds like. I might not actually be streaming from 1-2 Radio, so I'm not sure what that's about, but yep, just the live, so I won't worry about that. Okay. JR said, "I never thought I'd clap for a rat." Well, now you are. We were laughing about what it must be like, if you have never heard of hero rats, which, I would imagine a lot of people haven't, and you were in an earthquake, and say you are pinned under a building, under rubble, and suddenly, besides everything else going on, you have a rat in your face. That could be scary. I'm not afraid of rats, but, in that moment, not only do you have a rat, showing up, sniffing you out, but also he's wearing a helmet and a vest. You're wondering if you're going crazy. And then the microphone on the rat talks to you, and perhaps says something like, "Hello, ma'am. Are you injured?" Now a rat is talking to you, wearing a vest and a helmet, and sitting on top of you, probably. Right? I had this whole dialogue with my sisters. We laughed so hard about, perhaps the rat asks you through his microphone. Well, obviously it's the rescuers, but uh, what's your name? And you say, "It's Carol." "What's your name?" "Kevin." So now you're talking to a rat named Kevin. This is just not funny. Anyway, but it's amazing. And it's amazing that in times of crisis like that we'll be able to save more people. So anyway, that's all. So thank you, dear friends. I'm in love. And so I did go to Boise this weekend with my sisters to celebrate my birthday, which is pretty fun, I think. And to do that, I guess I can close Skype, huh? To do that, yeah, we went to Boise to spend time with my kids, and we went to a lavender festival, which was actually so much fun. We had a complete blast. And from that, we were able to gather our own, which was really fun, and honestly just have a super, super good time. So I just want to, I have a couple of pictures to share with you. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with radio.co, but it's not letting me. I don't know why. I guess I got to get better at this stuff. I've not had to produce myself in the past. So maybe I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, to be honest, obviously, I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, okay. So maybe I am connected now? I might be connected now. I'm not sure. If I am, welcome. This is Katie Weaver and the Katie Weaver Show. I'm not actually sure. No, I think not. I don't see my mic connected. I'm sorry, you guys. Yes, microphone, live chat. Okay. Now, turn my mic live. Oh, I might be connected now. If somebody wants to go and listen and tell me if they can hear me via radio.co, that would be amazing. You guys, thank you so much. And thanks for your patience. This is just a learning curve for this lady. I think I am broadcasting. Okay. I do want to tell you about my trip, however. But if someone would go over to 12radio.com and click listen and see if they can hear me, that would be an amazing thing. Okay. All righty. Oh, Sid said, "I've got a rat living in my dilapidated garden shed. He comes up through the holes in the wood floor. I'm not going to do anything about that, but I'm concerned about getting, oh, Lesto from the pee and poop. He's probably left on my kiddie pool and empty pots, probably." Yes, Sid, that is definitely a concern. Terry said, "If I saw a rat talking, I would definitely be thinking, how hard did I hit my head?" Yeah. Maya, I will definitely get to your question, babe. I'd be happy to. Yep. Okay. So I do want to share some pictures from my trip, however, because we had so much fun. If you ever have a chance to go to a lavender festival, you should go. We went to, there were actually six festivals in the Boise Valley going on at the same time. And we went to two of them. It was too much for me to go to all of them because it was so hot. And that's just, it's too much walking and whatever, you know. I mean, ultimately, it's fine. It's completely fine. But in the moment, it was definitely a little much for me. So, oh, I see what's going wrong. Okay. Sorry, you guys. I'm a hot mess, obviously. I'm going to get it figured out. There we go. Okay. Okay. Tiffany says I'm live there now. Wonderful. Thanks so much, you guys. And sorry for that foolishness. All right. Anyway, so back to the lavender festival. All right. So I do have some. Thank you guys very much for that. Have some pictures to show you, and I did already put them in the chat room, but I just wanted to show you some cool stuff. So, oh, well, maybe not. My pictures aren't showing. Oh, there we go. Okay. So at both festivals, you pay an entry fee, which was I think $5 at one and six at the other, and then you get to you pick. You get to harvest some of your own lavender, which was very fun. Both farms we visited had a whole bunch of different varieties, from like really purpley ones to like very light ones to like longer stems to shorter ones, bushier plants to leggier plants, all different kinds, different varieties that are better for certain things. Some that are better for essential oil production, some that are better for culinary uses, and so on and so forth. So we got to learn quite a bit about lavender as we went, which was really fun. And of course, I came home with two really good bundles that I picked myself. And of course, I bought some other things. This farm, they would distill their own essential oil. So I was able to buy a bottle of lavender oil that they distilled there on site, which I thought was pretty cool. And they have a seasoning blend that they sell that they grow. They have lots of other stuff they grow too besides their lavender farm, but it had, I don't know, rosemary and thyme and oregano and lavender, a bunch of herbs and stuff in it that I bought and came home and made roasted red potatoes with it that were amazing. So, anyway, it was a cool experience. I would definitely do it again. We drank lavender lemonade at the first one. I think Matea bought lavender honey. There was just all kinds of stuff. And then there were all kinds of booths with very cool people and just fun stuff going on. So, lots of fun. It was very awesome. It was an awesome weekend. And then just for fun, here's a picture of the boys cuddling and sleeping on the couch. You can see poor little Luca's or Bruno's eyes. He's got a he's got allergies, the vet thinks. And so they actually look a lot better today than they do in that picture, but so he has to have this little steroid ointment in his eyes twice a day for now. And they've cleared up a ton, but the poor little thing, finally last Wednesday, I'd been giving him some Benadryl because I figured it was allergies, but they just weren't getting better. So we went to the vet, the poor things. But yeah, sad. Poor guy. Okay. Did they have a lavender nap area? They did not. What are they thinking? The weather was perfect for the lavender fair, Sid. Absolutely. It was beautiful down there. Hot, too hot for me, but hot. But it was fine. Probably fine. Yeah. No, it was good. Plus, we just had fun. You know how we roll. We have a good time, and we did. My sisters and their spouses and my nephew Jack and I all stayed at Micah and Matea's house. So there was a lot of, you know, interesting arrangements for beds. but it worked. Anyway, so that's that. Yep, it was a great birthday and tons of fun. So, well, I'm going to keep on moving forward here. Probably the biggest elephant in the room is that the Supreme Court gave me like the shittiest birthday present ever and overturned Roe versus Wade on my birthday. That was a hard thing to wake up to, and my daughter Mars drove me to my sister's house to get in with them to go to Boise, and on the way we called my niece Mia, who's 18. We were telling her, that Roe versus Wade had just been overturned. She didn't know, she'd been in bed. And to listen to my 19-year-old daughter and 17-year-old niece, 18-year-old niece cry and cry and cry because they're so scared of their future in this country. They're so worried about their rights moving forward. And they're so worried about what's next. What's the next shoe to fall, and feeling so powerless in this situation. These aren't girls that are just running out to get abortions willy nilly. They're girls that are really worried about their privacy, their health care, their ability to make decisions for themselves, and they should be. They should be. I'm worried too. I'm really worried. I'm disgusted, disappointed, devastated. I don't know what else to say. There's a lot of things I could say. I think that there's a lot of unintended consequences here, or maybe they are intended, but things that we people may not be thinking about. One of my cousins who is very much on the right, and I don't, in my opinion, Roe versus Wade doesn't, it shouldn't be a right versus left thing. We're talking about rights and privacy of half of the population, and but at any rate, he had commented on on my sister's post on Facebook and said, "I just really don't understand why you guys are freaking out and what the big deal is. If you're not planning on having an abortion, why do you care?" And it was interesting to see women educating him. I didn't feel like anybody was overly aggressive or rude. They were just honest. But after maybe five people chimed in with, "These are the things that I'm worried about," or "These are the things that concern me." And I had responded with a pretty lengthy post with some hypothesis of, what if, you know, what if your daughter had an ectopic pregnancy and was unable to have that pregnancy terminated and she died? What if one of your nieces was sexually assaulted and got pregnant at 12, 13, 14, 15, hell, 18, whatever? The age doesn't necessarily matter, and is forced to carry that baby. And like in the case of Louisiana right now, forced to co parent with that person, potentially forced to pay that person child support and let them raise that child. How would you feel then? How would you feel if someone you love got pregnant and the person who got them pregnant didn't want to bear the burden of being a parent and chose to murder them? It's not hysteria. These are possibilities. These are things that could literally happen. These are things that will happen, that are already happening. How would you feel if a young lady in your life got pregnant and had a miscarriage and someone accused them of causing that miscarriage and they were arrested? Because that's already happened in Texas. Luckily, the charges were dropped, but that woman went to jail because she had a miscarriage. The Supreme Court shouldn't be playing doctor without a license. Nobody should. That's the concern. And now birth control is being threatened. And if you, again, think that that is being dramatic, it isn't. These are things that are being said. These are things that are being thrown around in various states, mine included. My state has decided that they want to ban IUDs and consider banning other forms of birth control as well. So I don't understand. I don't understand. You don't want people to have abortions, but you also don't want them to have birth control. So this isn't about children. This isn't about fetuses or babies. This is about control. Texas has propositions right now of people who want to ban birth control except for condoms for married couples only. Where in the Constitution does it say that only married couples can have sex? Oh, nowhere? Okay, then. There are so many things about all of this that I can't get my head around, and I am afraid this is only the beginning. And I do try to not get too political on this show most of the time. And so I hope you'll indulge me this today because I just can't not be me and I can't not say it. I When Trump was elected into office, the day after, nobody was willing to go live that day. My show was on Wednesday at that point, and the 3 shows before me canceled that day and said that they just couldn't go live. And I knew that I had to, and I knew that a lot of you guys were feeling very concerned as well. And I did my show and I cried on the air. And I cried and I cried and I cried and I really couldn't control it. And I actually cried that entire day, not because my candidate lost. Something just felt so wrong. It was that empath in me that, and I know a lot of you empaths can understand this sentiment, that when you feel really bad, when you feel like something's really wrong inside or around you, sometimes the tears come for a long time. And that's how I felt that day. And I cried a lot of tears and I had a lot of worries. And a lot of those worries did come into fruition. And this is one of them. And so, feeling on Friday a lot the same way that I did the day that Trump was elected into office, I know, I know that this is just something. I know this is just a stepping stone. I know that this is just one of those things, but god damn it, I am sick of it. Aren't you sick of it? I don't understand it. If you don't like abortions, don't get one. If you don't like gay marriage, don't get one. If you don't want to go to church, don't go. Isn't that what freedom is about? But I guess not. It is to me. We have got to stop trying to force everyone to be us. Remember when we were kids and we were always taught that America was a melting pot? That's what they used to say. They used to say America is a melting pot of people from all over the world that came here for freedom, that came here to live a better life. You never hear that anymore. Why? Our diversity is being stripped from us. If you speak another language in public, you run the risk of someone attacking you. If you look differently, God forbid you wear a burqa, or right now, even be Asian in public, because you may be running the risk of someone attacking you. You better not be a young black man getting pulled over. Last week in Florida, a man got pulled over driving to work. His car had broken down. He was driving his mother's car. Black guy. Cop pulls him over, asks for because he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Okay, fine. Give him a seatbelt ticket. Whatever. Right? Shouldn't be that hard. No. Instead, he asked to see his driver's license and registration. Okay, that's normal, right? Well, this guy immediately started filming. Why? Because for obvious reasons, because black men aren't safe in America. So he started filming. And while he's filming, He can't find the registration. It's his mother's car. He doesn't know where she keeps it. So he's searching through the car, trying to find registration. And the officer says to him, "Hurry up, man. This is why your people get shot." What? For not being able to find your registration fast enough? That's a shootable offense to you? And then continued to harass this man for 30 minutes over a seatbelt. Luckily, he did finally let him go, and didn't shoot him because he committed the crime of not wearing a seatbelt, something everybody, not everybody, but lots of people do every day. And okay, so maybe it is, you know, maybe it is a reason that things like this happen, but it shouldn't be. And it shouldn't be something that rolls so easily off the tongue of police to make threats and say things like that. Now, of course, this man made his video public and it went viral. And because of that, the officer's been placed on desk duty while they decide if he really did anything wrong in this exchange that went on for 30 grueling minutes. And maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Maybe they need to go through all of his, because it's not just the man's video, it's the vest cam video from the officer himself. They don't care. They don't care because they're not getting taken down on this stuff. I'm not saying all cops are bad. Of course they're not. I know some wonderful police officers. But I am saying that we have a problem in our country with the wrong guy or the wrong girl being an officer. And that's something we have to address. There's just so much, so much. Can I post the video? Jane, I don't have it in front of me, but I'll try and find it for you. Yes. We reported on it on True Crime Paranormal last week too. And that's something else I need to tell you guys about. So many changes afoot. We have rebranded True Crime Paranormal. It's occurred to us that we aren't really doing True Crime Paranormal these days. We're doing something a little bit different. What we're really doing over there is something probably less paranormal and more mainstream. And it doesn't mean we won't still do paranormal cases and things, but we decided to rebrand because we want to be able to reach as large of an audience as we can. Partly because our work has become a lot of social justice, and we don't want our name to limit us to a certain genre. So we have rebranded to the True Crime Squad with Christy and Katie. So if you see that pop up, that's us. We've just moved away from that. We're still going to do the psychic hour and we'll still do cold read cases, but we're going to do them behind a paywall over on our Patreon so that we can just reach more people and continue to do better and more social justice work, because we feel like that's where we're really called to now. Social justice in crime. That's a huge spot of interest that needs to be continually reported on and addressed. And so that's where we're going. Nothing else really is going to change, at least right now, but that is something that we are doing. So when you see the True Crime Spot Squad pop up, if you follow us in that direction, that's what you're going to find. So the other part of Roe versus Wade that I wanted to discuss was from a true crimer's perspective. And that is the concern and the real concern. It's not just, again, this isn't just hysteria. These are very real concerns that crime against women will increase because of men who don't want to bear the burden of a pregnancy for a lot of reasons, right? Consider a father who gets one of his children pregnant. Now, she has to have medical care. Now, that would have been true in the past as well, but perhaps, depending on her age, she could have just gotten an abortion. Well, now he's going to be held more accountable, maybe, depending on the state. which is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. That's a good thing, but he won't. Maybe he'll just disappear her instead. Maybe she'll just vanish and nobody will ever see her again. It will happen. When a man gets his mistress pregnant, maybe instead of having to take responsibility for the fact that she's pregnant and going to be carrying this child, he'll just unalive her instead. Maybe girls that are trafficked, and I know this is a hard one too, because trafficking happens in the US a lot. Trafficking looks different than you think it looks. We've been led to believe, or maybe we've just chosen to believe, that trafficking is women and girls who just disappear and are never seen again and are in some opium den somewhere, being fed drugs and used as sex toys. That does happen. That does happen. But it's more likely, and this happens much more often, that wealthy people like Jeffrey Epstein, for example, here's how Epstein did it. And I'll give you this example because this is happening all over the US in different capacities. But this, they're the poster children for it. Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. By the way, Ghislaine Maxwell is being sentenced today, waiting to hear, pardon me, exactly what's going to go down there. But Ghislaine Maxwell would find young women that had the look that Jeffrey liked. We're talking about children. We're talking about 14, 15, 16-year-old children. They would find girls who had needs. For example, talented girls who could be going to a gifted and talented school or a music school or an art school that their families couldn't afford in a million years. And they would hire them to go work for them at Epstein's Island or in one of his mansions. When the girls would get there, they would be trained in how to give Jeffrey the right massage. These are children. They're not massage therapists. They're not people who should have been giving massages to old men. Maxwell would teach the girls how to touch him the way he wanted to be touched, and so on and so forth. And you don't need all of those triggers. But that's how it would start. Their parents assumed that they were doing things like cleaning, cooking, running errands, maybe caddying on the golf course, whatever. But they weren't. They were being sexually assaulted by Epstein and his ilk, and Maxwell as well. And a lot of the girls didn't dare tell their parents. Why? Because they thought these were wonderful people. They were paying for these girls to go to fancy, expensive schools. They were giving the families desperately needed money. And they were threatening the girls. We know where you live. We know where your parents live. We have all the money in the world. We could make you disappear. We could make your mom disappear. Things like that until most of these girls didn't talk. The ones that did, of course, were humiliated, treated like they were liars, and so on and so forth. The reason I share this with you is to help you understand that trafficking looks more like that and less like children who vanish and are never seen again. Most of those children don't last very long, unfortunately, and are not taken by traffickers. This is more likely trafficking. Now, what happens now in the past when women were trafficked, if they got pregnant? Now, in the state of Epstein, I'm sure he had a doctor. I'm sure he had a doctor that he could pay a certain amount of money to just give a quiet abortion. That won't change. The wealthy will always get their abortions. This is going to affect the middle and lower class much, much more. But let's talk not about Epstein for a minute. Let's talk about a more low rent situation where you do have women that are being trafficked that are forced into sex work, if and when they do get pregnant, they cannot have an abortion, depending on the state they live in. That makes them much more at risk of death because now the people who have trafficked them, who could frankly easily be their parents or someone else that they're related to, can't cover their tracks quite so easily. They can't take them in for an abortion and claim that they just made a terrible mistake with a boyfriend or some terrible thing. No, now they run the risk of this child who now has to have prenatal care telling the truth and busting them. These are the things that are of the biggest worry to me. I don't know if it's the biggest worry, but a big worry. My point is the suicide rate among young women is bound to go up, as well as the rate of violence against women because of this action. Those are things we need to know about. They're things we need to pay attention to. And by God, we need to hold our courts accountable. We need to hold the police accountable, to hold men accountable who do these things. They're true worries. They will happen. This is usually a show meant to uplift, and I'm sorry that it's not that uplifting right now. However, we're going to do some work on that together. But I think this is a conversation we have to have. We have to have. Some of the things that people may not understand is that some of the other things that could be on the chopping block now are gay marriage, are interracial marriage, though it seems like that may not be attacked because Justice Thomas is in an interracial marriage. So, since that does affect him, he doesn't seem interested in visiting that. And I really hope he doesn't. But things that don't affect him, he seems to be more than willing to go after. HIPAA. Did you know that Roe versus Wade was the catalyst for HIPAA? Yeah, that's a little scary. Do you enjoy privacy in medical? You might not have it for much longer, depending on how your state chooses to respond, and women have lost it anyway at this point. If you are posting things on social media offering to help people get an abortion, stop. Don't stop offering to help people, but don't make it public. You're offering to commit a felony. And if you think those things aren't being watched, you're wrong. If you think those aren't the kinds of things that we will see prosecuted, you're wrong. Be helpful. Do what you can do. Be a part of the solution. Don't make it public. Be smart. Be smart. Don't use the code words. I keep seeing this post. If you need to go camping in my state, you can come camp here anytime. Everyone knows what that means. Protect yourself. Take good care of yourself. If you are using a period tracker, delete it. Don't keep anything online that has anything to do with your private health, particularly your reproductive health. These are things that you need to protect now. If you are of childbearing years, go buy some pregnancy tests. Buy them in cash. The ones at the dollar store are just as good as the ones at Walmart. There's nothing wrong with them. There is one way to detect pregnancy. That's human chorionic gonadotropin. That's the hormone that your body suppresses when you're pregnant. It does not express or expresses when you're pregnant. It doesn't express it at any other time. The test is very easy to recognize human chorionic gonadotropin or HCG. The dollar store ones are fine. Buy them in cash. Put them in a drawer. Just have them in case you need them or someone else does, right? Buy a few Plan B. Plan B has a shelf life, so know what the expiration date is. Plan B also only works for women that are under 180 pounds. So it's not for everybody, but It doesn't hurt to have a few set aside if in case you or somebody else should need one. Buy them in cash. Is it dramatic to think this could turn into the biggest witch hunt this country has ever seen? A real witch hunt? No, it's not. It's not dramatic at all to think that that could happen. It is very possible that it could happen. So be a part of the solution, but don't do things that put you at risk. You can't help if you're in trouble. You can't help if you're facing charges. So don't do that. So there you go. We'll talk about this more, I'm sure. But those are a few thoughts that I have, a few bits of advice I've seen online that I felt like was very helpful from attorneys and from doctors. So there we go. Okay, I would like to drum. I think it would be good for us today to drum, to just release some of our pent up frustration, to release some of, I don't know, anything, whatever you're carrying and whatever I'm carrying too. I think we all need probably to just release some of our anger. I agree with you, Rebecca. She said, I think the majority of women in the US are pro choice. Even my Baptist grandmother back in the day admitted privately to my stepmother she was pro choice. She never said it publicly. Women and men know what's right in their hearts. I agree with that. I agree with that. Yep. I feel like this is something that most Americans do understand. The things that have been thrown out there that created a lot of anger and fear are that the idea of the late term abortion. If you're worried about late term abortions, look up a few stories of people who have had late term abortions to help you understand what a late term abortion looks like. I'm going to warn you, it is gut wrenching. Nobody gets to 30 weeks, 36 weeks, and decides, I don't think I want to be pregnant anymore. These are wanted babies. These are babies that somebody has prepared for, that painted a nursery, that bought a car seat, that have been to all of their appointments and had ultrasounds and been excited for, and something has gone terribly wrong. Unfortunately, it happens. Pregnancy is not perfect, and unfortunately, pregnancy in the US is far from perfect. We have one of the highest death rates in delivering mothers in the world. In the world, here in this country. And unfortunately, things go wrong. Well, women sometimes have to make a terrible choice to let a pregnancy go. Late term abortion is not performed the way you may think, and I'm not going to tell you how it is. You can look that up if you want to. But there is a process to stop the baby's heart before it's ever removed from the mother. And I know it's awful. This is a conversation that everyone hates to have, and I get it. But I think that if there are things that you're very concerned about, you should get educated on them. It's awful. It's an awful choice, but sometimes it has to be made. What does the mother of four do when partway through a pregnancy she learns that she has cancer and she has to have treatment or she's going to die? But she can't have treatment because she's pregnant. Well, some mothers would choose to terminate the pregnancy and fight the cancer. Some mothers wouldn't, and they'd choose to have the baby and potentially pass. Neither one of those decisions is the wrong one. That's her choice. That's a decision between her and her family, maybe, and her doctor. But it's not ours, and it shouldn't be the government's. It's just so hard. There's so many hard things about this conversation. It is not black and white. But I think the thing that frustrates me the most is this opinion that women who are having abortions are just a bunch of whores that are running out, getting pregnant right and left, and using abortion as birth control. Do you know how rare that is? Yeah, it happens. Yes, it happens. Is that the norm? Not really. No. However, should a teenager be forced to have a baby she's not ready for? Well, that's not for me to say. I'll tell you something. The idea of an abortion turns my stomach, and I've never had one. It scares me. It's not something I would want to do. But what I do know is it's not my right to tell anyone else what they're supposed to do because that's up to them. It's their body, it's their decision. I could talk about this for hours. Obviously, I won't, and I can't because we'll run out of time. But what I want to do is just drum. I want to drum for all of us. I just want to drum to maybe release some of our frustration, our anger, or maybe just help us get focused and figure out what to do. So if you'll breathe with me and just allow the frequency of the drum to permeate you, to give you an opportunity to breathe with the energy of the drum, that's all you have to do. That's what I need. I'm sure it's what you need too. And maybe one of these days we'll drum as a call to action. Maybe we will. Probably not today. Right now, we need to clear, we need to ground, we need to get focused. If you have fury, you're welcome to that fury. Fury may be the thing that drives us forward. This isn't a time to be afraid of your shadow self. This is the time to welcome that bitch in the door, right? All right. Whew. Oh, I loved that. That felt good. We'll take that. Maybe we need more of that. More drumming, more screaming. I didn't scream. You're welcome. Uh, maybe we need more of that. Well, I would like to read a segment from Kathleen's book, as usual. I will tell you that Kathleen was fiercely pro choice. Kathleen was one of those wise grandmothers, like some of you, who fought for these rights a long time ago, who hoped the door was closed on this conversation, and yet it's not. Uh, I can't imagine what Kathleen thinks of this right now, except for that she would want us to not take this lying down. She would want us to fight. She would want us to get active and stay active in our communities. She would want us to use our voices. I can say that with a surety because I knew Kathleen and I knew how she felt about things, and I know how she felt about women's rights because she fought very hard for them. Kathleen was a rock star. Kathleen sued her employer for sexual harassment back when it wasn't done, back in the Anita Hill, Clarence Thomas days. And you know what? She won. And she forced a giant corporation to change their ways because Kathleen was brave enough to speak up and brave enough to put herself on the chopping block, and she'd do it again. And Kathleen is one of my heroes. And so let's get a message from her and from her light beings for today. Guinevere. Today I come to talk to you about romance and romantic love. I'm here to assist you in your search for romantic love, both for those inside a current relationship and for those who have none and wish one. I see that many of you are unsure of where to go and whom to trust. I will assist you in this. It is important that when you seek romance, you know who you are and accept that whoever is attracted to you wishes you to be who you are and not give yourself over to them. I stress that you are unique, and it is that uniqueness that attracts someone originally. Many of you become involved in romantic relationships and then try to please your partner by trying to become who you think they want you to be. I am here to tell you to remain in your truth. Romance can be a part of your life when you are precisely who you are. Do not give away any parts of yourself to please another, for the relationship is based on a false premise. Be true to yourself and at the same time be open and willing to accept another for exactly who they are. You are all divine, and a part of the attraction between two people comes from that part of you. Romance is wonderful when two people find each other and revel in the similarities and differences each brings to the relationship. Open your hearts and share who you are. Be true to yourself and to your love. Know that in many instances, each of you has fears and doubts. Call on me, and I will assist you to be open and sharing in the relationship. Know the more complete you feel within, the more open you can be in the relationship without any expectations that the other will fill your empty spaces. Approach romance with a light heart and an open mind. Allow it to unfold at its own pace and be at peace. Romance is wonderful. It brings a glow to your life because it is an outward manifestation that you feel loved. Call on me to help you in this area. Know that you can experience romance at whatever age. Be open and optimistic that if this is what you desire, I can help you find it. Be willing to receive as well as give, for romance is a two-way interaction. I send my love and blessings. Let love flower in your life, and when you feel stuck, call on me. May your life be filled with love, light, and romance. And that is Guinevere. So thank you so much for that, Kathleen. And again, some of you have asked me how to get this book. The answer is I don't know. I'm going to guess Amazon. This book was a gift to me from an anonymous source because one of you guys is amazing and sent it to me. It's called We Are Here for You by Kathleen Peterson. And you may be able to go over to, I'm hoping Amazon still has used copies of it. That's the only way to get it. This was a self published book, and I don't know that there's another way to get a hold of it. So hopefully, if you want one, you can find it that way. And that's the best advice I have for you on it. I don't think there's another way to get it. It's not in print. So, but I think that Kathleen's messages deserve to live on, and I know they will. And that's one of the reasons that we're doing that this year. So, this is good stuff, good work. Jumping in the chat rooms really quick. I appreciate you guys so much for being here. I promise next week we'll get back to a more structured show. This week it just had to be what it is. So, but I love and appreciate you guys, and I appreciate you being here. So, I think you said 20 years for Maxwell, huh, JR? Awesome. 20 years before possibility of parole or nah? Boy, they will repeal that in a heartbeat. Oh well, it's fine. Larry said, I wish you could talk about it for hours. I could listen because you make more sense than anyone else I've heard. Well, thank you for that, Laurie. I'm glad because I'm trying to make sense of it myself, and I think we all are. It just is what it is, right? Well, guys, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you very much. Don't forget, I'm a psychic advisor over at one2listen.com. You can find me over there every single day, and I will gladly help you with anything that I can. And of course, I will be over the rest of the week. You can find me over on the True Crime Squad. So I'll be around. Thanks so much. You have been listening to The Katie Weaver Show here on 1 2 Radio, where we're changing the way you listen to the world.